Allah khair. Please, the brothers that are staying for the class, if the brothers are staying for adhkar, no problem. But whoever wants to come and benefit from the class, please come closer, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Alhamdulillah, today we continue with our sessions. Before Ramadan, we had 6 sessions of tajweed, and we covered quite a few tajweed rules. Today's class is dedicated to a revision session of everything that we've covered so far. It's very important that you revise everything that you learn. So today we will be covering all the rules that we have covered so far, plus the 4 surahs that we've covered, from Surah Al-Fatiha all the way till end of Tabbat Yada. Those are the surahs that we've covered. So Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah An-Nas, Surah Al-Falaq, Surah Al-Ikhlas, and Surah Masad, inshallah. These are the 5 surahs that we'll be going through with the tajweed rules, inshallah. From next week, we will be continuing from where we left off before Ramadan, and that was the end of the second rule of Noon, Sakin, and Tanwin, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Okay? So, inshallah, there won't be a presentation up right now, but we will try to engage as we go along, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So, to start off with, of course, after we spent the first 2 sessions from the 6 sessions that we've done already, we talked about the introduction of tajweed, we talked about the 10 points of tajweed and the different aspects of tajweed. We moved on straight away to the makharij al-huruf. Makharij al-huruf means the articulate points of the letters. And we said that it is the most important thing for us all to be analyzing, isn't it? The tajweed rules, they're secondary. But when it comes to huruf and kayfiyat nutq al-huruf, the way you pronounce the letters are the most important thing for us, isn't it? Right? Okay, so we summarized, we had a diagram where we discussed the 5 articulate points of the letters, the makharij. Okay? Can someone name me one makhraj with the letters from that makhraj? One exit point. Okay, I'll make it easier. We have one of the exit points, which is the nose. Okay, which 2 letters are read from the nose? Mim and Nun, okay. Is it generally read or is there a condition? What's the condition? Ghunna, mashallah, brother, excellent. So when it has ghunna, this is when it is recited with the nose. It's read from the nasal area. Fantastic. So that's the first one. Okay, then we had the throat. We have 6 letters of the throat. Who can tell me the 6 letters of the throat? MashaAllah. What are the 6 letters? Anyone? Hamza, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha. Hamza, ha from the bottom of the throat, ayn, ha from the middle of the throat, ghayn, kha from the top part of the throat. Okay, that's 2 makhrajes done, 2 exit points done. Then we have 3 more, okay? We had the lips, okay? What are the letters of the lips? Mim, okay, 1. Waw, fa, and ba. Okay, these are the letters of the lips. Okay, so that's 3 makhrajes done. We have 2 left. We have al-jawf, which is the mouth area where you are stretching your mouth. And this is only done on 3 letters when you are doing an elongation, the mudud. And that is the alif, waw, and ya. We know these 3 letters are the letters of mad. We have the sound a, e, u. When you are doing that, you're using your mouth, okay? So al-jawf. So these are the 3 letters. But the condition for that is al-maddiyah, when it's in the state of mad. So if it's by itself, it's not from the mouth, isn't it? For example, waw by itself, where was it from? Lips. Alif, a, where was it from? Throat. Which part of the throat? Bottom part of the throat. Excellent, okay. Alright, okay, and then we have the tongue area. That's the last makhraj. And that is the rest of the letters of the Arabic language. Okay, they're all from the tongue. Of course, we broke these letters down, which we will be getting into now, inshallah. So altogether, I'm going to ask you again, inshallah, again, we're learning as we go along. How many makhrajas do we have? How many articulate points do we have? Altogether, 5. Excellent, okay. Can you name them for me? 1. Throat. Throat's 1. Nose, 2. Lips, tongue, and mouth. Okay, these are the 5. Remember these, inshallah. Okay, I think it's worked now. Jade. Okay. طيب, moving on, inshallah. We started getting into detail with these letters. We divided these letters into 3 groups. How many groups? Three groups. We had al-huruf al-mufakhama, which are the heavy letters. Then we had al-huruf al-muraqqaqa, which are the light letters. And then we had bayna bayn, letters that are sometimes heavy and sometimes light. Okay, so we're going to go through each group individually, inshallah. So the first thing that we had is the heavy letters. How many heavy letters are there in the Arabic language? MashaAllah, 7. Does anyone remember the sentence that we learned? Excellent, very good. Khussa daghtin qidh. Everyone repeat it with me. Khussa daghtin qidh. Khussa daghtin qidh. MashaAllah. All right, okay. How many letters within that sentence? 7 letters. Kha, Sad, Dad, Ghain, Ta, Qaf, and Dha. These are the 7 letters of the Arabic language. Okay. Now we know when it comes to short vowels, we have what? Fatha, Kasra, Dhamma, Zabar, Zair, Pesh. Right? These letters, are they always heavy? Are they always the same level? Someone saying no, someone saying yes. They are always heavy, however, they are of different levels. So if you're doing it with a Fatha and Dhamma, it's quite strong. Kha, Khu, Sa, Su, Da, Du. But when it has a Kasra, it's still heavy, but it's the least amount. We don't say it's light, what do we say? We say it's the least amount of heaviness, okay? So you will say Khi, Si, Di, Qi, okay? So this all comes under that. So again, to summarize, how many heavy letters? 7. What are the 7 letters? Khussa, Daghtin, Qidh. Fantastic. So these are the heavy letters of the Arabic language. طيب. Then we moved on to the letters that are sometimes heavy and sometimes light. 3 letters. Who can name me them? Ra is one of them. Alif is one of them. Lam. Okay, fantastic. Alif, Lam, and Ra. Just remember the surah Alif, Lam, Ra. Easiest way, okay? You know, there's Alif, Lam, Ra in the Qur'an, right? Okay, so Alif, Lam, and Ra. Alif, Lam. Okay, fantastic. The screen is on. You can look at the screen as we go along, inshallah. So we have Alif, Lam, and Ra. These 3 letters are sometimes heavy, sometimes light, depending on the situation. We'll go through one at a time, inshallah. So we have the first thing, which is the Alif, right? The general ruling, or the default ruling of the Alif, what is it? It's empty, isn't it? It's light. Because I can't say what do I say? Right? And can you remember the formula we kept on emphasizing on before Ramadan? If you're smiling, then it's light. If you're making your mouth into a round shape, then it's heavy. Okay, so smiling, more smiling or more round shape? Isn't it? So that means Alif, the default ruling is what? It's light. However, it could change depending on certain situations. So if before the Alif there is a heavy letter, then the Alif will become heavy. If before there is a light letter, then it will remain light. There's some examples here for you to understand. We always read in Surah Al-Fatiha, Ihdina siratal. Look after the Ra. Is there an Alif there? Can I say Ihdina siratal or siratal? It doesn't work. The Alif automatically has changed because of what? Because of the Ra. So now that means Alif is heavy. Why? Because the letter before is heavy. طيب, let's move on to the second example. إذا جاء. Can I say إذا جاء? No. What's happened to the Alif? Light because of which letter? The letter Dhal. Because the letter Dhal is light, the Alif is light. Okay? So that's the general ruling of the letter Alif. Okay? طيب. Moving on. We move on to the next rule, and that is regarding the rule of the letter Lam. What's the default ruling of the letter Lam? Light. How did you figure that out? Very simple. Other than that, it's on the presentation that you're smiling. Okay? We don't say Lam. What do we say? La, right? Isn't it? Right? This is how it is in Hafs. We read it as light. Lam. But again, just like the Alif, in certain situations it could change. And the Lam has specific rulings on one specific word, and that is lafzul jalala, Allah. In the word Allah, there will be different rulings. So when we look at the word Allah, we pronounce it every day. We pronounce it in our salah, the first thing we start off with Bismillah. Right? When we start off the takbir, we're saying Allahu Akbar. Then we say Bismillahi. The same word, but two different ways of pronouncing. Right? One we're making heavy and one we're making light. Now we need to know the rule behind it. The rule is very simple. If you have the letter Lam in the word Allah, which you will always have, then the first thing you do is you look at the haraka. You look at the short vowel before the Lam. Don't look at the letter. What did we do in the alif? We looked at the letter before. We're not going to do that in the Lam. What are we going to do? We're going to look at the short vowel before it. Fatha, kasra, dhamma. If there is a fatha or a dhamma before the lam, will it be heavy or will it be light? Heavy, fantastic. If there's a kasra before it, will it be heavy or light? Light. Easy rule, okay? The easiest examples that we have is in these two here, okay? We have إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ. If someone was to ask you now, this Allah, why is it heavy? What will you say? Because the letter before has a dhamma on it. Has a dhamma on it. طيب. Bismillahi. The word Allah, why is it light here? Because there's a kasra before the word Allah. Okay. Something we emphasize on in this matter, we talked about how it is the word Allah that is becoming heavy and not the letter before. So is it right for me to say Allahu Samad? Where's the mistake? Excellent. The Hamza at the beginning, that's A. A stays how it is. It's a lam that's changing. So I don't say Allahu, because if I remove Allahu, is there such thing as A? Mafish. There's no such thing as A, right? It's A. A stays how it is. It's the lam that changes. So you will say Allahu, Allahu. Okay, so it's the lam that's changing, not the letter before. طيب. So that's the second exceptional rule. Then we move on to the letter Ra. And we said that Ra has many rules. طيب. What's the default ruling of the letter Ra? Heavy. Right? Why? Because automatically making into an oval shape. If it was a light, it would be like this. Ra. What do you say Ra? What do we say? Ra. So making into an oval shape, so that now we know that the Ra, the default ruling of it is, it's heavy. Okay. Now concentrate with me on this one, because Ra is the most difficult one. There's so many rules pertaining to the Ra. We only covered 3 or 4. Okay? طيب. Listen to this very carefully, inshallah. If the Ra has a fatha or a dhamma, is it heavy or is it light? Heavy. خلاص. Ra, ru. Say it with me. Ra, ru. Especially with the dhamma, concentrate. Ra, ru. You have to ensure when you're saying with the dhamma, you're making into an oval shape. Because in a different qira'ah, in a different recitation, it's actually light. They say it like this. Ru. Ru. Yubelsirun. But we say Yubelsirun. Slight difference. Right? So Ra with the fatha and dhamma, what is it? Heavy. With the kasra? Light. But here people make mistake. What do they say? Ri. How should it be? Smile and say Ri. Ri. Okay? So we got Ra, Ru and Ri. Fantastic. طيب. Now the 3 short vowels are done. We have another short vowel which is the sakin or the sukoon. If the Ra has a sukoon on it, what are you supposed to do? This is where it gets a bit more complicated. So bear with me, inshallah. If the Ra has a sukoon and before it there is a fatha or a dhamma, the Ra is heavy. Khalas. For example, أرسلنا مرسلون. Why has the Ra become heavy? Because before it there is a dhamma or a fatha. If there is a kasra before it, what do we do? Who remembers? Okay, uncle saying light. Anyone disagree? This was some exceptional rule that we made. Can you guys remember? Fantastic, he's got it. He's correcting himself. Allahumma barik. Remember this, okay? If there is a kasra before it, there is an extra step. There is what? An extra step. What is the extra step? We have to look at the letter after it. not the vowel. What do we look at? The letter after. To make it easier for you, you'll see this as an example for you to understand. Here we have 5 words. Look at the bottom 2 words. We have the word mirsad and we have fir'aun. Mirsad and fir'aun. Both look the same, right? In terms of what? Both ras have a sakin and before it there's a what? Kasra. But is there a difference between both words? The first word, what's the letter after the ra? Is it heavy or is it light? Heavy. What about the second word? It's light. So based on this, the ra will change. In the first one, the ra is heavy. So you will say mirsad. But in the second one, what will you say? Fir'aun. Okay. Why is this done? Why this slight change? Is because to make it easy on the tongue. If the sad is heavy and I make the ra light, automatically it's going to be very hard for me to make the sad heavy. Watch. Mirsad. It's not natural. But if I say it like this, mirsad, I'm already prepared for it. Same with the fir'aun. Imagine I said fir'a. I'm going to make the ayn heavy. So this is why everything that's done in tajweed is to make it easier on the tongue. Okay? Everyone understood that? Yeah? Okay. Tayyib, Jameel. Right, so we've got 5 words here. I'm going to ask you guys, inshallah. We've already gone through this, inshallah, but we'll do it again. The first word from the top right, the word mursalun. Ra, is it heavy or is it light? Someone put your hand up and answer. What's the reason behind it? Excellent, there's a dhamma before it. Fantastic. Okay, the middle one, rasul. Ra, is it heavy or is it light? Heavy, why? It's got a fatha on it. It's got a fatha on it. Fantastic. Okay. طيب, the word risala. Heavy or light? Light. Because it's got kasra on it. Fantastic. Mirsad. Heavy or light? Heavy, why? Excellent. So if there's a kasra before it, so we do an extra step. What's the extra step? We look at the letter after, and the letter is heavy, hence why the ra is heavy. What about fir'aun? Light. Why? Before it is a kasra, and after it there's a light letter. Fantastic, mashallah, tabarakallah. Okay, so that's the rules of the letter ra done. طيب, moving on, we have the light letters of the Arabic language. So we've done 3 letters that are exceptional. What are the 3 letters? Alif, lam, and ra. We did the heavy letters, which are 7. That means altogether we've done 10 letters. The rest of the letters of the Arabic language, what are they? They're light. So when you're pronouncing them, very simple. Always remember this qa'idah, this principle I'm going to give you. Again, it's just a vague principle, just to help you become more proficient. If you want to pronounce a light letter, try to stretch your mouth out as much as you can. Ta, ti, tu, tha, thi, thu. Okay? For example, da, di, do, right? If you want to do a heavy letter, do the opposite. Make it into an oval shape. That way, okay? That way, you will, inshallah, become proficient in these letters, okay? Moving on, inshallah. We have the short vowels in the Arabic language. We know fatha, the equivalent to it is what we know in Urdu as zabur. Kasra is zir. Dhamma is pesh. Sukoon is jazm, as they call it. Shadda, okay, alright, that's doubling, when you're doubling letters. Then we have tanween, an, in, and un. When you have double fatha, double kasra, and double dhamma. These, memorize these terms, because we're not going to always be repeating the Urdu ones, we're going to be doing the Arabic ones. Okay, طيب. The next thing that we covered, inshallah, is a few more rules for us to cover before we move on to the recitation. We have rules pertaining to sukoon. Firstly, what is a sukoon? What is a sukoon? Sukoon is a silent vowel, right? So when you are cutting off a letter without pronouncing as a e or u. For example, if you had a ba with a sukoon, you would say ab, right? You won't say aba, abi, abu. You just pronounce the first part of the letter. So the easiest English equivalent for it is what? It's a silent vowel. It's a silent vowel. Now when it comes to sukoon, there are many rules. There's a reason for this. If all the letters we were to treat it as the same, then we will not hear certain letters. For this reason, the scholars of tajweed, they have differentiated between the letters. Some of them we will bounce, some of them we will put emphasis on, right? Okay, this is very important. Okay, so the first rule that we are covering is the rule of Qalqalah. The rule of Qalqalah. Okay, Qalqalah. What does Qalqalah mean? It means a vibration, or it means a bouncing sound. There are certain letters in the Arabic language, if we do not bounce it, then we will not hear the letter clearly. From these letters, for example, the letter ba. If I was to just stop like this, ab, you can't tell if I'm saying a P or a B, right? And if I do it too much, then it's going to be a shadda, ab, right? So there has to be a middle ground, right? And these here, when it comes to Qalqalah, we have 5 letters. And we collected it in that word. Who remembers the word? MashaAllah, he's got it. Qutubu jaddin. Say it with me. Qutubu jaddin. Qutubu jaddin. Qaf, ta, ba, jim, dal. Qutubu jaddin. Qutubu jaddin. These 5 letters are the letters of Qalqalah. Tayyib. 2 things that we covered. The first thing that we covered was Qalqalah is not treated the same. We have to divide the Qalqalah into 2 groups. Qalqalah sughra and Qalqalah kubra. Small Qalqalah and big Qalqalah. Small Qalqalah is when it's in the middle of the word. For example, abawab. Did you hear the middle ba? Abawab. See, here the small Qalqalah, you have to speed up a little bit. Why? There's a letter waiting after, right? So you have to ensure that you're not delaying too much, right? Because then it's going to become a fatha. So you have to move on. Abawaba. This is called Qalqalah sughra, if it's in the middle of the word. If it's at the end of the word, on the other hand, what happens? Qalqalah kubra. You can relax. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. There's no letter after it, so I can say it in a relaxed manner. So this is the difference between Qalqalah sughra and kubra. There was another thing that we touched on, which we didn't write here, but we talked about it. Is these 5 letters, are all the 5 letters the same? Are they from one category or from 2 categories? 2 categories. Some letters are heavy and some are light. Very important to remember this. Because based on the letter that you're doing Qalqalah on, then this, it will be, you have to make your mouth shape accordingly. Right? So if it's a light letter, then what would you do? You smile. Abawaba, abawaba. But what if it's like the letter qaf? Is qaf heavy or light? So when I say iqra or when I say iqra, first or the second? Second one, right? Why? Because qaf is a heavy letter. Okay? So that's the first rule of the sukoon, which is the qalqalah. Okay. We're moving on to another rule, which we mentioned is not a part of rules pertaining to sukoon. But there was a reason why I brought this, is because it's something that people are very neglectful towards. Okay? And that is the rule of hams. Hams is a set of letters that if they have a sakin on specifically, then you will emphasize on these letters. Right? Generally you would emphasize them, but when they have a sukoon, you emphasize them even more. Right? The reason why I really emphasize on this rule is because people are, again, they're very complacent with this. Right? From these letters, for example, ta. We talked about the ta, isn't it? Right? It has become a norm that when you're pronouncing the ta, we pronounce it that like the letter T. But is that right? No. There's a difference between the letter T and the letter ta. The letter T, what are we doing? We're using the tip of the tongue. But the letter ta, we're using the flat part of the tongue. Ta and not ta. You see the difference? Okay, this is the first point. The second point is, because many reciters, okay, unfortunately, they make the sound of t, t, t when they're reciting. We have picked up this bad habit. The only time we make that t sound is when the letter ta has a sakin, right? So watch. The word, for example, tabbat yada. There's 2 tas here. One is mutaharrik, which is with the fatha, and one is with the sakin. The second one, listen to how I say it. Tabbat yada. Did you see the difference? The second one, what did I do? I add the emphasis. But if I say it like this, tabbat yada, that's wrong. So the only time you make the sound, when is it? when it has a sakin. Right. There are other letters when you're going to make the sound as well. Okay. So altogether we've got a sentence which is here. Okay. And that is the 10 letters of hams. Say it with me, guys. فَحَثُّهُ. Loud inshallah. فَحَثُّهُ. فَحَثُّهُ. شَخْصٌ. فَحَثُّهُ شَخْصٌ. سَكَتْ. It's quite hard, isn't it? Don't worry, you can look at the slides inshallah and try to memorize it. So here there's 10 letters. All of these letters are the letters of what? Emphasis. Let's break it down. Fa. If you have a fa with a sakin, watch. Afwahihim. Don't just say afwahihim. Watch when I say it without it. Watch. Afwahihim. You hardly hear it. But watch. Afwahihim. Now you're hearing it. Ha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Emphasis. Tha, same thing. Athwaba. The next one is the one that most people leave out. The small ha. I'll give you an example for you to understand. Wailul likulli humazatil. You did it, mashallah. You got it straight away, okay? But generally, what do people say? Wailul likulli humazatil lumaza. There's a ha at the end. This ha is from the hams letters. We have to emphasize it. وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ الَّذِي جَمَعَ مَالًا وَعَدَّدَهُ. Do you see? If you're going to leave it, then you're leaving a letter totally. Most of the times people struggle when it's the word Allah, when they're stopping it. For example, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ. There's a ha there. But people say Nasrullah. No. You have to pronounce the ha, and this is where you extracted this rule, hams. Okay? So these are the rules of hams. So 10 letters that you emphasize on when it has a sakin specifically. Right? طيب. Moving on, inshallah. We've got 2 rules to cover, inshallah, before we move on to recitation. We have the rules of noon, sakin, and tanween, which is probably the most important rule, one of the most important rules within the tajweed rules that we're covering. Firstly, we need to differentiate between the noon sakin and tanween. What is a noon sakin? It's in the word. Noon with a sakin. Simple as that. It's a noon with a sakin on top, right? طيب, what is a tanween? Double fatha, double kasra, double dhamma. But the noon sakin and tanween, are they the same sound? It's the same sound. If I was to say an with double fatha, that's tanween. If I was to say an with a noon sakin, same sound, right? The question is, what's the difference between the noon sakin and tanween? Let's see who remembers before I go on the slide. What is the difference between a noon sakin and tanween? Okay, good, mashallah. Both have elements of nasal when certain rules come in. But in terms of meaning, is there a difference? Fantastic, very good. Okay, so noon sakin, it is a part of the word. If you get rid of the noon sakin, khalas, your meaning's not going to stand. Right? We read in Surah Al-Fatiha, صِرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ. There's a noon sakin there, right? If I was to get rid of it, noon's gone, and I was to say صِرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أَعَمْتَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ, would that stand? The meaning doesn't stand, right? So the noon sakin is a part of the word. You can't get rid of it. Okay, the tanween, is it a part of the word? It's not a part of the word. It's a grammatical reasoning. Okay, so for example, you have the word bayt. If I was to say baytun, baytan, baytin, double fatha, double kasra, double dhamma, will it change the meaning? The bayt is the bayt. Bayt means a house. The meaning has not changed. So this is the main difference between the noon sakin and tanween. Noon sakin is a part of the word, you can't get rid of it, whereas the tanween you can, right? The meaning will stand, okay? So under noon sakin and tanween, there are 4 rules. How many rules? 4 rules. We have covered 2 or 3. We've covered 2, I think, iqlab and idgham, okay? We've covered 2 rules, inshallah, which we will be covering today, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, as our revision, okay? So the first rule that we're going to be covering is the iqlab rule, the controversial rule that I like to start off with, the iqlab. Iqlab, you will see some scholars actually call it qalb, right? They call it qalb, okay? Many of the scholars like Dr. Ayman Syed, who is very famous in terms of tajweed, etc., he calls it qalb. He has his reasoning for it. Ala kulli hal, we're going to go with that which is mushtahar ala al-sinat al-nas, that which is most famous or famously known amongst people, and that is iqlab. Iqlab, what does it mean? It comes from the word qalb, which means to change. It means to what? Change. There will be a change happening in this rule. If you have a noon sakin or tanween, and after you have the letter ba, then what is changing? The noon sakin or tanween is changing into a mim. So instead of saying min ba'di, what will I say? Mim ba'di. That's the first thing. Second thing is I'm going to do a ghunnah. So I won't just say mim ba'di. What will I say? Mim ba'di. Mim ba'di. Okay. Again, a person may ask, why did it change to a mim for? It's easier on the tongue. Everything is done because of this. Okay. The second thing that we talked about is, do we leave our mouth open or do we close it? Huh? We close it. Fantastic. Okay, very important. Just the other day, there was a student who was reciting to me. Not only did he leave it open, he left it open for that rule and a different rule. See, this, you have to be very careful in the way you teach this rule. Those that say you leave it open, they only say for iqlab, no other rule. Not ikhfa shafawi, no. They say for the iqlab, you leave it opened. The problem is sometimes teachers are teaching that it's for iqlab and it's for idgham shafawi, which is after mim sakin ba comes. Right? No. It's only for the iqlab that the scholars have said that you can leave it open. However, we are following a different manhaj. We said that we're going to close it. We're going to what? Close it. The only reason I mentioned the opinion is if you hear it, you know that there's something there. Right? So you can't pick on people and say, alhamdulillah, they're following your opinion. Okay? So, we'll give examples for us to understand. Here we have the example of iqlab. For example, in the which verse is it? Is it here? Yes. In the 4th verse, كَلَّا لَيُنْبَذَنَّ فِي الْحُطَمَةِ. We don't say كَلَّا لَيُنْبَذَنَّ. Nor do we say لَيُنْبَذَنَّ. What will we say? We have to do غنة. كَلَّا لَيُنْبَذَنَّ فِي الْحُطَمَةِ. So when you come to this rule, what will you call it? Iqlab. And what does iqlab mean? To change. That was the first rule. The last rule that we covered in the last session, in our 6th session, was the rule of idgham. What does idgham mean? It means to join. Adghama yudghimu means when you're joining. Here in the idgham, we have a set of letters. Okay? If these letters are found after the noon, sakin or tanween, there will be some kind of joining happening. The letter before the noon, sakin or tanween will join with the letter after the noon, sakin or tanween. What happens to the noon, sakin or tanween? It gets cancelled. So instead of saying man ya'mal, what do we say? Man ya'mal. What's happened to the noon here? Totally cancelled out. Khalas. Okay, it's gone. So the letter before is joining with the letter after. However, when it comes to idgham, we have to divide it into 2 groups. We have idgham with ghunnah. Before we get into that, the 6 letters of idgham, say it with me, is yarmulun. Say it with me, yarmulun. Fantastic, okay? Ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, and noon. How many letters? 6 letters. But are all of these letters the same? No. Idgham is of 2 groups. Idgham with ghunnah and idgham without ghunnah. So idgham with ghunnah is 4 letters. And they come in the word yanmu. What is it? Yanmu. Ya, noon, mim, and waw. How many letters left? 2 letters. What are the 2 letters? Lam and ra. So this is idgham without ghunnah. Okay? So here's a few examples for us to understand. The first 2 examples is idgham with ghunnah. Okay. So we have the word sharrayara. Do you see what I did there? I joined the ra with the ya and I cancelled out the noon sakin. It's not being pronounced. cancel out the tanween. I'm not saying sharran yara. What am I saying? Sharrai. And also I'm doing a ghunnah. Sharrai yara. The next example. Do I say man ya'mal? Man ya'mal. This is called idgham with ghunnah. طيب. Idgham without ghunnah is in these two examples. Humazatil lumazah. Do I say humazatin lumazah? Huh? Do I do a ghunnah there? No. No ghunnah. So we don't read it from the nose. Just shadda. Humazatil lumazah. Then the next example is it min rabbika? Mir rabbika. No ghunnah. Mir rabbika. So these are the examples of idgham with ghunnah and idgham without ghunnah. What do you guys think? Is the ra heavy or is it light? Heavy. Why? It's got fathan. Khalas. Mir rabbika. Okay. So this here, alhamdulillah, we have summarized all the rules that we've covered up until now. Okay. Everyone satisfied? Alhamdulillah. Okay. Always try to revise whatever you're learning. It's very important when you're seeking knowledge. Don't just always aim to go ahead. Big problem that we have, right? So many times people are trying to memorize Qur'an. They want to finish hifz straight away. But then it'll take them years to what? Revise it. Why? Because they're just thinking of going ahead, go ahead. And I've witnessed it myself. When I used to be in Saudi, I used to teach in one of the masajid there. And there used to be a boy who was 15 years old. Saudi brother who used to come read to me. And all he wanted to do is go ahead. I was like, okay, go ahead, go ahead. One day I tested him, he didn't know anything, right? Okay, it was like brand new to him, right? And we've had many incidents like that. Another incident of a brother who memorized 16 juzz. 16 juzz in 1 month. Wallahi al-azim, 16 juzz in 1 month. I personally met this brother from America. He knew 14 from before and he memorized the other 16 in 1 month. Then I asked him, okay, how long did it take you to revise the 16? Because it took me about 1 year, right? So he spent 1 month working so hard and then it took him 1 year to revise it. So the point isn't about getting to the end. It's about what? Being proficient in what you're learning. Learn slowly, learn less, what? But be the best at what you're doing, okay? So again, always revise the ilm. This is a ilm. It may be basic things, learning letters, but it's the most important thing, okay? If you know it inside out, you'll see that this is how you'll grow as a student of knowledge, inshallah. So this is the reason why we did a revision session today. Right, saying that we've got 4 surahs that we will be covering today, inshallah. So the way we'll be doing it, inshallah, is we're just going to recite together. So I recite, you recite after me, and then I'll give people opportunity to recite, inshallah. Is that okay? طيب, inshallah. So recite after me, inshallah, 1 verse at a time. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. Try to look at my mouth movements because that's very important, okay? الرحمن الرحيم. Okay, just wait for me to finish the verse and then say it, inshallah, okay? مالك يوم الدين. Fantastic. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. ما شاء الله. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Fantastic. Okay, I want to listen to 1 verse at a time, inshallah, rather than the full surah. Okay, so one person read the first verse. First verse. Bismillah. أعوذ بالله بسم الله. ما شاء الله. Hirra. Rahim. MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
MashaAllah. Very good.
Ar-Rahmanir Rahim.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in.
Fantastic. Okay. But don't stop in between. Don't say Iyyaka nasta'in. Fantastic. Small ha. MashaAllah. Mustaqim. جيد.
صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Allahumma barik, mashallah. Did you see how the uncle quickly picked it up? Mashallah. Allahumma barik. Ahsant, ahsant. Okay. طيب, next. We'll have, okay, 3 people doing Surah Al-Fatiha, then we'll move on, inshallah. طيب. تفضل. Nice and loudly, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله
الحمد a bit higher.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم.
Good.
مالك يوم الدين إياك
No, don't read the ya from the nose. Ya should be a clear letter. Iyaka. Iyaka. Say I. Ya. Iya. طيب. Good.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
When you say the ta, excuse me, don't pronounce the wow. Don't say ihdina sirat twal. Should be ta without moving the bottom lip. Ihdina sirat twal, not twal. Try it again, inshallah.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
Mustaqim.
مستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم
No.
غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Fantastic. Same thing. The ta and the dad, when you're pronouncing them, there shouldn't be 2 letters coming up. Not the doubly after, okay? So you have to avoid that. So don't say dwa. What do you say? Da, da. Without moving the bottom lip. Okay? Without. So not dwa. Say da. Jayyid. Dalin. Fantastic. Ahsant. Very good. Very good, mashallah. Fantastic. طيب, one more person, Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillah. Give you next surah, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم.
Good.
مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين
MashaAllah.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
Very good. Try to hold on to the ra. Ihdina sirat. You started off well, and you start spreading it out.
اهدنا الصراط الذين
صراط المستقيم. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Your recitation has improved. Allahumma barik. MashaAllah. You've been practicing in Ramadan? MashaAllah. Okay. Ahsantum. طيب. Moving on, we have Surah Al-Nas. again. Recite after me, inshallah, and then we'll get 3 people to recite the surah, okay? So repeat after me, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. Fantastic. Okay, I will choose 2 people, inshallah, to recite the full surah. طيب. Uncles had to go, inshallah. Shobri chance there, inshallah, and then we'll come back around. Bismillah. Try to make your ha stronger. Don't worry about mistakes, guys. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone learn from each other. Qul. What's the mistake, guys? That? A'u. Okay. Alif, then ayn. Okay, so quick transition. Watch. Qul a'udhu. Good. Small ha. Ilahin nas. Good. 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 Fantastic, fantastic. Allahumma barik. Okay. Next person.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
MashaAllah.
قل أعوذ برب الناس.
Try to, your ra, make it into an oval shape. قل أعوذ برا را like that. Yeah.
قل أعوذ برب الناس.
Good, MashaAllah.
ملك الناس.
Ghunna, try to make it stronger. Malikinna like that.
ملك الناس.
Good, fantastic.
إله الناس.
Jayeed.
من شر الوسواس الخناس.
Khonna.
من شر
من شر الوسواس.
الخناس.
Khonna. Good, MashaAllah.
الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس
Good.
من الجنة والناس.
Fantastic. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Very good. Okay, we're going to move on to the next surah, inshallah. So two people each surah, inshallah. So we've got Surah Al-Falaq. We'll go with you first, inshallah. Okay, so read after me, inshallah, everyone. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. قل أعوذ برب الفلق. Not falaq. فلق. من شر ما خلق. ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب. ومن شر النفاثات في العقد. ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. Fantastic. Bismillah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Good.
قل أعوذ برب الفلق
MashaAllah.
من شر ما خلق
Excellent.
ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب
Allah.
ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
Allahumma barik. Fantastic. Very good. Very good. MashaAllah. طيب. One more person for this surah. I'm Uncle. Bismillah. Bismillah. Good, mashallah. Good, mashallah. No, you know when we do ikhfa, don't pronounce the noon. Okay? Don't say min, say aywa, jayid. Say min. Good. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Ha. Smile. Hasidin. Hasidin. MashaAllah. Fantastic. Very good. Allahumma barik. Okay. طيب. Moving on, inshallah. We got two more surahs. Surah al-Ikhlas and then Surah al-Masad, inshallah. So, inshallah, let's recite to Surah al-Ikhlas together. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. ما شاء الله تبارك الله. طيب, we need two new faces. بسم الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد.
Again, the same verse again. قل هو الله
قل هو الله أحد.
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 Smile.
قل هو الله أحد.
أيوة, جيد.
الله الصمد.
Good.
لم يلد ولم يولد.
Not too much emphasis. لم يلد ولم يولد.
لم يلد ولم يولد.
Okay, good. طيب.
ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
أحد. Try.
ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Okay, good, very good. So when we're stopping on the dal, what we have to do is ensuring that we let go of it straight away without doing shadda. So instead of saying ahad, no, ahad, ahad, straight away let go. Try again. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٍ.
ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
خلاص, ممتاز, ما شاء الله, أحسنت. طيب, all right, one more person of Surah al-Ikhlas. Okay, Uncle's done it. Who hasn't? Bismillah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Rahim. Okay.
قل هو الله أحد.
Ahad.
أحد.
Good.
الله الصمد.
Samad.
الله الصمد.
Okay.
لم يلد ولم
Don't do ghunna on the meme. It's only done when it has a shadda. Lam yalid.
لم يلد.
Straight away move on. Lam yalid.
لم يلد ولم يولد.
Walam yulad. Okay.
ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Ahad. MashaAllah. Fantastic. Very good. Okay, we're moving on to the next surah, which is the hardest surah. So everyone concentrate, inshallah, because there were so many rules in this surah. Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. وتب. Good. ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب. سيصلى نارا ذات لهب. وامرأته حمالة الحطب. في جيدها حبل من مسد. Okay, this is a hard surah. Okay, طيب. Right, we need 2 people, inshallah. So we've got, طيب. The brothers have taken it, inshallah. خلاص. Bismillah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب.
Good, very good. Remember this part. I'm going to break it down as we read. Remember what we do at the end of this verse? We've got the qalqalah as well as the shadda. We don't just say watab. What do we say? Watab. Okay, again.
ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب.
Good, very good. And we taught something here. Can you remember? We said about the ma. Right? This is something that is separate, not in tajweed. We learned this. Can you remember? Who remembers? Yeah. Fantastic, very good. Ma at the beginning of this ayah is negation. You're negating something. Alright? It did not benefit him. So if we're saying that, we raise our voice. Okay, because ma, each one's going to be different. They're not going to be the same, right? Okay, so one will be a question, right? Another one will, with hamza at the end, means water. Ma, okay? So we have to differentiate between them. So this one we will say like this. ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب. Both of them are going to be like that. طيب, fantastic. Next verse.
سيصلى نارا ذات لهب.
لهب.
سيصلى نارا ذات لهب.
Good. Ikhfa we haven't done yet, but we touched on it in this verse, that when you're doing ikhfa into a light letter, you stretch him out, okay? سيصلى نارا. Smile, okay? سيصلى نارا ذات لهب. Okay, next verse.
وامرأته
One.
وامرأته حمالة الحطب.
Good. Last verse.
في جيدها حبل.
حبل.
في جيدها حبل من مسد.
Fantastic. Allahumma barik. Very good, mashallah. طيب, Bismillah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Mashallah.
تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب
وتب.
وتب.
Now here, this qalqalah and a shadda. So you do both. So like, watch this, brother. وتب.
وتب.
أيوة. ممتاز. Very good.
تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب
وتب.
وتب.
Good. Very good. MashaAllah. طيب.
ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب.
So this one is normal. كسب. Okay, qalqalah only. Okay. Carry on.
سيصلى
سيص.
سيصلى نارا ذات لهب
Good.
وامرأته
Big حمالة
حمالة الحطب
Fantastic. Very good.
في جيدها حبل
حبل.
في جيدها حبل من مسد.
Fantastic. Allahumma barik. MashaAllah. Tabarakallah. Very good. Alhamdulillah.
It's like 6 lessons, so I don't really know the tajweed.
No, it's good. MashaAllah.
I will practice. I will look into
Inshallah.
if you suggest something.
Yes, inshallah. All the 6 lessons are available online on the YouTube channel, inshallah. So those of you who have missed it, look back at it. Alhamdulillah, today we did a revised session, where there's a detailed sessions available online on the YouTube channel. And we've also broken down the verses, isn't it? MashaAllah. Uncle's picked it up very well. Allahumma barik. Okay? All right.
Is it the Islamic Mosque YouTube channel?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, there should be a playlist there, inshallah, that you can benefit from. And then next week we'll carry on with the rest of the rules, and we'll go on to the next surah, and we'll start to take more surahs, inshallah. We'll spend more time with Allah Ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our shortcomings. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept it from us. Jazakumullah khairan. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wallahi, to be honest with you,